stunning. What left you disappointed? Australia or Thailand? Did you make any friends there? How much did it cost? I wish I'd known the answer to this before we left. Absolutely not. What did you and your brother find most annoying about each other during the trip? Yes, I did find out stuff about Matthew. One fell out my eye. Sarah said, I'm genuinely curious why your parents are so against tattoos. Oh my god, this question is so hard. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. So this is the big Thailand backpacking Q&A. If you are new to my channel or if you didn't know, my brother and I, so my brother being Matthew, we spent a month backpacking around Thailand. We had the best time and I'm just here ready to answer your questions that you guys sent in. Answer as many as possible before like the light runs out, I was gonna say, but before it like gets dark essentially. Definitely like this video if you enjoy it, find it useful. Comment down below, subscribe if you're new, all the usual, and we'll dive straight into answering your questions. So I compiled my list, I organized it, I have it in the sections, and we are starting with Thailand itself and like the whole trip. Question 1 is the coolest thing you did there. This is such a hard question because we did so much cool stuff, and cool is like quite a specific word because I would say like my favorite memory or the best thing we did there was probably our elephant tour, but the coolest thing was like riding the scooters on Koh Lanta. I would definitely say like that's the coolest thing. Like I rode a motorbike in Thailand. Genuinely, I thought that was very cool. What was the best part about Thailand and what was the worst? Let's start with the worst. I loved Thailand and I think it's amazing for so many reasons, but because it has like everything. You have the north with the mountains and the temples, and then you have the beaches in the south. There is so much going on, but I think like the worst thing for me about Thailand was the fact that I was using more plastic than in the UK, but like I couldn't do anything about that. It was out of my control, and I have to remember that every country is like on its own development trajectory, and so like where I live in the UK, obviously we've been through that period when people are using loads of plastic, and now we're realizing that that's so bad for the planet, so we're trying to like reduce our plastic consumption, but like not every country is at that point yet. And then there are so many other things, like in the West we create problems for other parts of the world. Like there are so many factors that play into this. But Matthew did actually say that for him, he noticed that there weren't that many bins, even though litter wasn't actually that bad of a problem, I didn't think. Matthew said that there was just like a lack of bins around. The best part about Thailand then, I feel like I answered it before, like saying that Thailand literally has so much to offer. I just had the best time, so I'm gonna be raving about Thailand and the trip anyway, as you guys know. Okay, what left you disappointed? We're starting off with a few like negative questions, but obviously we're gonna talk about everything. I think for me, and I mean, I wasn't like really disappointed, but we did this 4-island tour on Koh Lanta where we went to different islands. We were supposed to go to 4 different locations, but we were only taken to 3. I mean, I still thoroughly enjoyed myself. I thought it was a great tour, but I was just like, where's the 4th place? Like I said that in the vlog because I was really confused. This question is, did you get your fill of mangoes? I would say no, to be honest with you. I could have eaten so many more mangoes. Australia or Thailand? Which one did you prefer? I loved your travel vlogs, by the way. Honestly, thank you so much for watching, and for anyone who tuned in and, you know, came along our journey. I love traveling with you guys and bringing you along. It's the best thing to share my adventures with you as well. But yeah, Australia or Thailand, I don't know, I don't think I can make that judgment and that comparison because they are so different. And I spent 3 months in Australia, I spent 1 month in Thailand, I did Australia solo, I did Thailand with Matthew. Like there are so many confounding variables here, and I love them for very different reasons, so I'm not gonna say one or the other. I loved them both. Was it easy to access good Wi-Fi in hostels, etc., or did you need to take a dongle? Now a dongle, I've heard of a dongle. I don't really know what a dongle does. It's a very strange word if I'm honest with you. But in short, the Wi-Fi was great. You could always get Wi-Fi in cafes or restaurants, you know, in 7-Elevens, in hostels. It was really good. I didn't bring a dongle. As I said, don't really know what it is, so you definitely didn't need one. Did you make any friends there? I made like really great friends in Australia, and I am still in contact with some of them now. Whereas in Thailand, I wouldn't really say I made any friends really. Like I met people, Matthew and I met people, but we didn't come away with friends, and I don't really know why that is. I think it's for a few reasons. Like, we were there for a shorter period of time, we were traveling as a pair, and we didn't do as many tours where we could meet as many people. This is now post-pandemic, so there aren't that many people traveling in general. I would have loved to have said that I came away with friends like Australia, but you know, I'm not really disheartened. You know, there will be other opportunities to meet people. I can make friends on my other travel adventures and stuff in the future. Biggest culture shock. Now with this one, my answer is definitely the language barrier. The language is incredibly complex. In Thai, there are apparently like lots of different versions of the same word. Often when we had issues, say for example with Matthew's luggage going missing, or when we were like trying to book transport and stuff, it could be quite difficult to communicate, especially if the person didn't really understand English or they didn't speak English, which is understandable. Like, we should really know some Thai, you know, as tourists in their country. I would have loved to have learned some of the language, but I mean, we weren't there long enough to really pick it up, and as I said, it's a very difficult language to learn apparently. Did you have to wear masks and get your temperature taken in busy streets / tourist attractions? You had to wear a mask in 7-Eleven, and you had to wear it in some other locations. For example, in one temple we went to in Chiang Mai, we had to wear a face covering or a face mask, but you could also take your temperature when you went into 7-Elevens. It wasn't essential unless the people on the counters asked you to do it. We were in a park in Bangkok at the very start of our trip, like an open public space where we didn't think we had to wear masks, but there were people who came around and told us to put on a mask. Yeah, I mean, you just have to follow guidelines, see what everyone else is doing. The next section is about budgeting. So you guys have asked, like, how much did it cost? Can you please do a video breaking down what you spent in Thailand? Complete budget breakdown, please. How much would you budget for 2 weeks in Thailand? I'm going to be doing a whole video about spending, budgeting, how much the whole trip cost. I will literally be going through this spreadsheet that I've made. Stay tuned for that, look out for the video, and if you are not already subscribed, you can subscribe so you don't miss out on that either. On the same kind of theme then, let's talk a bit about traveling, logistics, packing. I will expand on this in the video where I talk about how to plan your best backpacking adventure, or something along those lines. Was the 1 month a good time period, or should you take more time to travel there? I think 1 month was enough, and the reason why I went for a month, or we went for a month, was because first of all, in the UK and as a UK citizen, you can get a visa exemption to travel in Thailand for a month, so you don't need to pay for a visa. You can obviously extend and pay, but we didn't. We just spent a month there. And secondly, I'm having laser hair removal. I mean, that has all now been complicated, but whatever. I thought I needed to be back in the UK for my next laser appointment. But in short, I do think a month is a good enough period of time. However, I would have wanted to have stayed for longer. Like, if you can stay for longer, I would recommend you do so, because we did have to skip certain locations because we were running out of time. That was partly because we got ill, and yeah, I would have liked to have spent longer in certain places, like Pai, for example. The next question, did you get travel vaccines before, not COVID ones? Now, the answer to this is no, I didn't get any travel vaccines. And obviously this is personal choice, as I will explain, because having done research and reading, the UK and like the healthcare system in the UK was not recommending any particular vaccines for UK citizens traveling to Thailand. They just suggested that you were up to date with certain vaccines, so like tetanus, diphtheria and stuff like that. So I called up my GP and I found out whether I was up to date, and I was. You know, it's personal preference, but at the end of the day, like, none were essential. Had there been essential vaccines, I would have got them. My battery is flashing, but we're going to try and get in one more question before it officially dies. I wish I'd known the answer to this before we left. So the motorbikes you rent, do you need a license or anything compulsory to use? Now, Matthew and I both took our driving licenses from the UK with us to Thailand. However, when we got there, we realized that you needed an international driving license or something, which people were saying you can get from like your local post office, but I didn't know that before we left. If you hire scooters or motorbikes in like busier places in Thailand, like Chiang Mai or Pai, for example, you could get pulled over by the police and you would be asked to show your international driving license, and if you didn't have it, you would have to pay a fine. Say if you didn't have one and you received a fine, they apparently give you a document, and if you keep hold of that document and you show it to someone else, then you won't have to pay for the fine again. because you still wouldn't have an international driving license if you didn't have one initially, right? I hope that makes sense. But what I'm saying is I recommend looking into an international driving license. Did you pre-book accommodation? So the answer is yes and no. Before we left for Thailand, I pre-booked our quarantine hotel, and I then booked the accommodation in Chiang Mai, which was our second location after Bangkok. But after that, we were booking accommodation like 3 to 4 days in advance, roughly. Sometimes it was like a day before, sometimes it was on the day. But what we realized worked really well was that if you pre-book or book accommodation for one night in a new location, you can then stay that one night and explore the area a bit, see if you find any better accommodation, and then book that. Laura said, I would love to have the itinerary. I'm willing to do the same as you. So I am going to be thinking about sharing the itinerary with you guys in some way. I'm not sure what it will look like yet, but I will talk about that in the actual travel planning video and stuff. Similarly, someone said, going in November, can I get a full list of the hostels you stayed in, please? Best series yet. Honestly, that makes me so happy that you guys enjoyed the video. But yeah, full list of hostels, I can definitely do that in the planning video where I go into more detail. This is an interesting question actually, and I mentioned it in the moving home video, but I will mention it here again because it was actually really useful. What is the baggage tracking app or thing that we used to track our luggage? We used AirTags. So they are an Apple product and you can track them using Find My on like your Apple device, and that really helped when Matthew's luggage went missing. How did you get sewing stuff on a flight? For domestic flights in Australia, you get pulled up for a nail file. So I really think this depends on the airline, and the reason why someone asked me this is because I was sewing on the return flight home. Like, I had to do something in those 13 hours, you guys, okay? So I was sewing, yes. And I did look up beforehand, and on the airlines that we flew with, so on the way out there it was Thai Airways, on the way back it was Scoot Airlines. I believe both of them allowed needles, but they had to be like blunt and really small. Okay, one of you guys asked 3 questions in a YouTube comment and I'm gonna answer one of them. So what do you wish you had taken with you? Fits nicely in this section. I really don't think there was anything I didn't have. And the thing that I'm realizing now that I've done a bit more traveling, like not that much at all, but like you can always buy stuff when you're out there. So I realized that I wanted wipes at one point, so I just went and got some wipes and it was fine. But like on the flip side, what I wish I hadn't taken with me, I'm gonna throw into the mix. You know, like I took just too many clothes. I didn't use maybe like a third of the clothes I took with me, I'm gonna say. For example, like I took 2 pairs of leggings. I did not want to wear leggings in a very hot and humid climate, right? I looked at them and I was like, absolutely not. The next then section is about Matthew. I've dedicated a whole section to my brother. You guys sent in some questions that Matthew should answer himself. He's not gonna be in this video, but I might get him to answer some in another if he's up for it. What is something you would have done differently if you wouldn't have been with your brother? For this, it's definitely riding the motorbikes. Obviously I can do what I want, but like I wouldn't have really felt comfortable doing it on my own. My parents were also super worried about it, so I just wouldn't have done that. But because Matthew was there and there were the 2 of us, like we did actually end up doing it, and it was, as I said, the coolest thing we did in Thailand. Favorite experience of traveling with your brother? I will return a green heart. Favorite experience, Matthew and I have talked about this and we definitely agree that it was the elephant tour. But like our best memory from that trip itself, because it was like a 2-day thing, it was when we were having showers in the place where we were staying. We had torches on our phones, but we literally couldn't see anything. And we were trying to flush the toilets by like chucking water in. I know this is TMI, but like if you go to the toilet and you have to try and flush it down, it takes a lot of water. I'm not gonna lie, the water was splashing at me, it was not great, but then we had to have a shower and then we had to like pour the water over ourselves. It was actually hilarious. I did include a tiny clip at the end in the bloopers section of the video where Matthew and I were just in fits of laughter, but that was just the end. Like this went on for a full on half an hour. We were honestly in hysterics. A few of you asked something similar, like how did Matthew and I's relationship change? I have so much to say about this. It could be like a whole entire video, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like pre-pandemic, when Matthew and I were going to the gym together quite a bit because Matthew worked at the gym, We got really close then, but then after that we kind of have lived very separate lives, and like we're close as siblings, don't get me wrong, but like we don't like often have conversations where it's just the two of us, and we don't often do things together. So I would say that as a result of the Thailand trip, we have just become closer. We spent the whole time together pretty much, and the thing about Matthew and I is that we're so similar in terms of the fact that we're both very introverted. We recharge by just spending time with ourselves and by just like not really talking to anyone. So we'd be in the same like hostel room, for example, in a twin room, and we'd just be doing our own thing. We wouldn't have to have conversations all the time, and that's the best thing about Matthew and I, is like we bond just by being in each other's presence. And then on top of that, we did things where it was just the two of us. We were exploring, we were traveling, we were doing everything together, eating together, you know, like going on nights out together, and that just brought us closer. So I think like for me, this Thailand trip was, yes, about Thailand and it being a new place and seeing new things, but for me, I will remember this trip as like a really great time with my brother, like with Matthew. This question is, what did you and your brother find most annoying about each other during the trip? So for me, about Matthew, I would say that it's just that I'd be like, okay Matthew, we're leaving in 10 minutes, right? We're gonna go and get breakfast in 10 minutes. And he'd be lying on the bed, probably asleep or something, you know, watching The Office, I don't know. Hello? Oh hi. 10 minutes later, he gets up and he decides he needs to do his hair, he needs to change outfit, put sun cream on, he needs to get ready, and I'm like, you could have done that in 10 minutes, you know? Sometimes he needs a firecracker up his bum because he just doesn't really get on. I actually asked Matthew this question off camera a few times on the trip itself. So I feel like Matthew would say for me that, I don't know if this is annoying, but I think Matthew realized that I drink a lot of water. Like he didn't realize how much water I actually drink, because we'd buy the big 6-litre bottles, I think, from 7-Eleven. And before you know it, it would be all gone. Matthew would be like, have you drunk all that already? And I'm like, yeah. We'd obviously share it, but like I drink a lot of water, he realized. And he realized that I have quite bad OCD when it comes to like locking doors, locking lockers. Like I will ram doors to check they're closed. I take videos of the door being locked just to double check because my brain does not believe what I'm seeing. I think he would say that I spread my stuff out quite a bit. Did you and Wetam, I love that. Wetam is Matthew's name backwards, by the way. Did you and Wetam argue much? Loved all the vlogs. Honestly, again, thank you so much. No, we actually didn't argue. Sorry, I don't know why I was thinking about that so much, but we didn't. Do you prefer solo or duo traveling? I don't know. That's so hard to answer. I don't know. I genuinely don't know the answer to that question. I think my next trip will be solo, but you know, who knows. Do you feel like you had to be Matthew's mum because your big sister vibes took over? I didn't ever feel like his mum. Like I was adamant that I was not going to become his mum or turn into mum, right? Because, you know, he had to be independent and look after himself. But I feel like we sometimes swapped roles. I would say that I was the brain of the traveling adventure, right? Like I was booking things, I was planning where we were going, I was sorting out finances and stuff. Matthew was just like going with the flow. But on the other hand, there were times when Matthew was like looking after me, as it were. So we kind of balanced each other out. Did you get to know something about your brother that you didn't know before, basically? Yes, I did find out stuff about Matthew, but I'm not gonna share it with you guys. By the way, he has started his Instagram. He's posted one picture as I'm filming this, so you can go and follow him. I'm gonna give him a little plug in this video. And you can follow my Instagram as well, Veganhology, if you haven't already. On that note, Veganhology, we're gonna talk about food and veganism. Look at that beautiful segue. Was it easy to get vegan food is question number 1. Now, yes, I would say it was fine. In the restaurants and cafes, there were pretty much always a vegan option, or you could always make something vegan. But it was during the start of our trip when we were going to a lot of the night markets. So for example, in Chiang Mai, that is when I was having a bit of a difficulty. I think compared to the UK, it was maybe harder because I'm just so used to the UK and I know where I can get vegan food and stuff, and Thailand is a whole different country and there's the language barrier, as I said. But like, it was not impossible and it was fine. Best thing you ate out there? Oh my god, this question is so hard. I don't think I have a top favorite, but I'm gonna list some things that come to mind. Mango sticky rice first and foremost, because it's like a signature Thai dish and it did not disappoint. I had this amazing vegan burger on Koh Lanta from the Fat Monkey. I had such good vegan food in Pai. Like, there are so many vegan cafes and places to get vegan food in Pai. Like the pancakes I had, the breakfast I had, the cooking class was so good. Amazing food at Labdi Koh Samui, which is where we stayed, and I have a discount code, which I will again link it down below. The smoothies and the shakes, oh my god, just the fruit. And you guys know I am a fruit addict. I love my fruit. Wow, the mangoes, the pineapples, the dragon fruits, I was living in heaven. This is the time of day when the lighting just goes really strange, so we're just gonna go for this angle now. Safety wise, is Thailand good for a first time solo traveler? Yes, I would say this is like the primary reason, well, one of the reasons why I chose to travel Thailand, because as you guys know, I was originally planning this as a Holy Ghost solo trip, and a lot of people say that Thailand is very well traveled, it's great for backpackers, and it's great especially for solo backpackers and female backpackers. I felt very safe the whole time, and I would have felt safe the whole time even if Matthew hadn't have been there. So that kind of answers the next question, is how safe for women do you think Thailand is? The only time when I felt not unsafe but slightly uncomfortable was in Bangkok at the very start, just because there were so many people like asking us to get in a tuk-tuk and come on a tuk-tuk tour. Oh my god, I have so many questions left, you guys. I'm moving you back here, I'm so sorry. I think the lighting is actually still okay. Hygiene, right? How did you find traveling with contacts / glasses, especially swimming and with water activities? I'm still not very good with contact lenses. Yeah, the one thing I did realize though is that you should put contact lenses in and then put your sun cream on, like on your face, because otherwise the other way around, you will end up with sun cream in your eyes, especially if you're not very good at getting them in, like myself. But yeah, I did have one experience. It was in Pai when I was swimming and I had my contacts in and I was like, oh my god, I shouldn't have my contacts in right now. And I thought I'd gotten them both out, but the next morning, one fell out my eye. It just takes those extra 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes or 15 in my case in the morning to put them in, but I think it's worth it because you can see things more clearly. 2 other questions in the hygiene section. So how did you go about body hair removal during traveling? So I just took with me a razor because I'm shaving at the moment, because I am having laser hair removal, which has made things a lot easier already. Like, I haven't finished my full treatment, but like my bikini line, for example, I only had to shave that maybe every 4 or 5 days or something, I'm not too sure. But like, I didn't shave my legs once. I do have to still shave my armpits because the hair growth there is still really quite dense and like a forest. But yeah, it's making it so much easier and I cannot wait to be finished with laser. So like, I'm just smooth like a dolphin, you know, we don't have to worry about that. And the third and final question here is, how could you manage to potentially travel on your period? For this, I realized I need to update you guys with the menstrual cup because I made the menstrual cup video and I haven't spoken anymore about it. But in short, I do recommend a menstrual cup when you are traveling. And yeah, if you are interested in the menstrual cup or if it scares you, like, I made a whole video about learning how to use that thing. So yeah, check that out down below. The final, well, not the final, the penultimate section is like a random section, but I realized that all the questions are about the tattoos that Matthew and I got in Bangkok at the end. So you guys have said, like, can you and Matthew troll your dad more often? It was hilarious. Yes, I would love to do that again. I think it was also very fun. Sarah said, I'm genuinely curious why your parents are so against tattoos. Now, I wonder the same thing, to be honest with you. I don't really know. But anyway, just wondering what your dad would have said if you had yourself tattooed. I don't know how you even say this, but it's my name backwards, like Iholo. Literally, I don't think you can say my name backwards. If anyone can say that backwards, like, I applaud you. But like, Iholo, I think he would have loved it. I think he would have gone even crazier, to be honest with you. The final section is about the future, right? So you guys want to know, where is my next travel destination? And secondly, when am I planning to travel again? So where is the next destination? I am not too sure yet, to be honest with you, because the other day, like a few days ago, my trip that I was getting really excited about and that was coming up next had been cancelled, sadly. So yeah, that won't be happening. I don't know when it will be and I don't know where it's going to be at this point, but I'm hoping very soon. I'm hoping in like July, August maybe. This trip in Thailand has made me realize how much I love traveling, how much it makes me grow, and it's something that I've fallen upon later on in my life, or like not during my childhood, that I've realized I genuinely love. It brings me so much happiness, so much joy. I feel so in my element. It's like the perfect balance between like me challenging myself but also just like being able to enjoy it. Traveling has changed my life, and yeah, I don't want to stop anytime soon. That's basically all of my questions. I really hope this has been useful, enjoyable to watch. Definitely, as I said, like this video if you enjoyed it, like save the video, share the video, comment down below if you have any other questions I didn't answer and I can maybe like answer them on my Instagram and stuff, or if you have any travel suggestions or any other advice that you guys would like to share, then please comment that down below. Big shout out to you guys for following along if you watched the entire series, or if you haven't watched the series, I do recommend you watch it because it is a great series. I loved it so much. So that's basically everything for this video, I suppose. Thank you for watching as usual, and as always, I will speak to you very soon in another video. Bye! I'm really shiny because I've been swimming today, so yeah. Gives me a little glow. I have no idea where the camera cut me off, but it did cut me off, unfortunately, because as I said, the battery decided to die. What is the baggage trapping act? What is the baggage trapping? Why can't I say this? Right, this question is so tiny. Yeah, like Matthew's. Did I just spit? Like, did you just see that? Oh my god. I'm so sorry, that was really bad. Okay, I feel like it's getting darker. Do we agree? Should I turn the light on? Will a light help? No, that's so bad. Literally just before the lighting is gone, and it's also starting to rain. We are definitely back in the UK. Well, actually, it was raining a lot during like our last week in Thailand, and I thought it was rainy season, but it wasn't even rainy season. Everyone was really shocked and surprised about that.